Okay, so last week I left you in 2018 after just having released everything you didn't want to bring into this year, right? Remember, we stirred everything into the disappearing magic water thing. And I left you in the middle of a threshold moment. You know, we stepped up to the threshold, but we didn't cross all the way through. We're all ready to kind of purposefully step through. And so today we're going to take our first giant step as a community into this brave new year. And it's going to be a grand year for us as a group. And I look forward to the journey ahead with all of you in our spiritual family. And as we do every year in January in this teaching, as we start off a new year, we pause as an organization around the world and anchor ourselves in this teaching called the Science of Mind. We review the first few chapters of the text called by the same name, the Science of Mind. It's kind of important for all of us to be on the same page, even though some of us are reading that page for the bajillionth time, and some of us are reading it for the very first time. Ernest Holmes, the founder of this philosophy, began teaching from that same page over 100 years ago, but he stood on the shoulders of ancient philosophers, scientists, theologians, and mystical teachers, and he began helping people understand one key spiritual truth, and that is, God is all there is. There is only one power. And as we stand on kind of square one of this truth together, and as we step firmly into the year, we stand on that square one. Let's start at the very beginning, which is a very good place to start. I understand there's a song like that. So let's just declare that this is the year. This is the year that we're going to live in greater and greater understanding of that one simple yet powerful principle: God is all there is. You know, Jay just sang about that so beautifully. There is only one power. Call it God, call it Jesus, call it Spirit, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Ba'ula, angel's wings, or heaven's door. You know, whatever name you call it, it's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, and it's your sign. It's the universe, it's Mother Nature and Father Time. Daniel Nahmod is a phenomenal poet, but he's describing the very thing that Ernest Holmes wrote about, that God is all there is. And quite frankly, that concept is simply not easily understood and accepted. Matter of fact, in the 17 years that I've been studying this philosophy, I've continued to kind of deepen my grasp of that one reality, mostly by arguing against it, quite frankly, and then turning around in delight at this deeper understanding that everything that speaks of truth is describing the same thing, the same power. You know, I mean, student after student grappling with this first spiritual truth, even though it sounds so simple, it's not. God is all there is. And Holmes devoted much of his writing to explaining this concept. So let's start our 2019 exploration of this basic foundational teaching of our philosophy. You know, we start our declaration of principles. I believe in one God, one absolute power, the energy of all life, called by many names. And you will hear this phrase in this teaching a lot. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. And that life is my life. There's only one life, one source of life, one God, one power, one mind. And everything we see and don't see is made by and of this thing itself. See, Holmes called the universal life energy that we call God, he called it by many things, but in the first chapter of the book, he calls it the thing itself. The thing itself. He wanted to help everyone come to the same starting point by referring to this power by a name that belonged to no one group. He kind of just made up a new name. the thing itself. A name that couldn't be claimed to be slanted toward any specific religious belief system and could not be misconstrued to be an external deity. The thing itself. It's the most utmost and highest God, and it is the innermost and internal personal spirit and within. And once we as an individual can discover this truth and align ourselves to it and learn to work with it, we are greatly empowered to create the kind of life that we so deeply desire. That's what we're talking about today. Discovering the thing itself, aligning ourselves to it, and being empowered to use it in our lives. So first we must discover that there is one divine life, one creative, intelligent power and presence from which everything manifests. Form is generated, and that means that each and every one of us are a part of that too. We are an individual power within the one power. Just as everything in the world is made up of vibrating energy, so are we. Carl Sagan once wrote that we are made up of star stuff. I call it God stuff. Ernest Holmes called it the thing itself. And we wake up to that fact that we are indeed a powerful part of the thing itself. It can be life-changing to realize that that's what we are. Because we know that God, the thing itself, is creative. It's a creative force. The thing itself is love and light and life. So in this book, this thing called You, that many of you are going to go on a journey and read, I trust, because Barley did an excellent explanation of it, Holmes wrote this: "It is the invisible essence and substance of every visible form. Its nature," we always want to know the nature of things, "its nature is goodness, truth, wisdom, and beauty, as well as energy and imagination. Our highest satisfaction comes from a sense of conscious union with this invisible life." Conscious union means I am that too, and I know it. I know in my conscious mind, I am that too. I am unified with that. The practice of the science of mind calls for an understanding of this and a willingness to let this inner spirit of goodness, wisdom, beauty, and imagination, and all the words he used, to guide us in creating a life that's worth living. And I said the word create on purpose because the highest God and the innermost God are the same. Deep within us is a power to create. We have the power to create, and we are responsible for what we create. Holmes said it this way: the mind of man is some part of the mind of God. Therefore, it contains within itself unlimited possibility of expansion and self-expression. He wrote that in the textbook. The good news is that as a part of the thing itself, we have unlimited possibilities of self-expression and expansion. There is no limit to what we can express. But the sobering news is that we live in a world of circumstances and situations and relationships that we've created with our own powers. We created everything that's going on around us. And as I said, when we discover that we're part of the thing itself and wake up to our power and align ourselves to it, we're empowered to change what's going on around us. Each and every one of us is able to connect deeply with that presence within and re-identify ourselves with the indwelling presence and power for good. And that's what we're trying to do every single week when we come together in community. That's what we're trying to do when we go within and purposefully reconnect and re-identify ourselves with that power for good. We're purposefully reconnecting with that indwelling thing itself. And here's the truth. We are constantly and forever creating. You are constantly and forever creating. And we do that either consciously aware of what we're creating, purposefully using the power of good to create something wonderful for ourselves, or we're unconsciously creating with our subconscious thoughts and fears and beliefs, and everyone uses the thing itself, whether we know we're doing it or not. And we are all evolving and learning how to create better and better and better situations for ourselves, better lives. And Holmes suggests that we court the presence and direct the law. Courting the presence means that we purposefully connect with that power of good within us, purposefully. And then we choose and we create from that inner highest connection. How do we court and connect? How do we do that? Actually, we court and connect with that presence for good just the way you would court and connect with someone in the world you'd want to court and connect with. Right? How do you do that? You eye that person, right? We've all been there, I know it. You eye that person, and then what do you want to do? You want to spend every moment you can with them, right? You actually listen to them for a while. Just a little while. But you listen to them. You begin to spend quality time with them. So you can learn more and more about who they are in different situations. And there's all kinds of advice about that. You know, if you're really going to date somebody, you need to spend like a whole year, go around the whole calendar, travel with them, you know, watch them untangle Christmas lights and all that kind of advice, right? You spend time learning about who they are and what they are capable of. Well, that's what I invite you to do with the presence of good within you. Court it, spend time with it, listen to it, talk to it. You do everything you can to remain in the immediate vicinity of it. It's the same with a person as it is with the thing itself. How many of us take the time to do that? But as we start this new year, let's purposefully court the presence of the divine. Let us understand our relationship with the power for good on every level. Let's meditate and listen to the urgings of this good within us, because it's always urging us to move closer and closer to goodness. Let us understand that nothing separates us from the life that we deeply crave other than our separation from this power for good inside of us. That is the only thing that separates us from the highest possibilities. So let's completely and consciously align ourselves with that divine love, that infinite wisdom. And then, once we're aligned, we're empowered. Let's speak our word. Let's choose and trust the process of creation. My talk title today is Creating Responsibly. If we're creating our lives and everything around us without courting and connecting with the power for good within us, we're not taking our joyous responsibility very seriously. We want to change our life, we have to change the way we think. Change our thinking, raise our consciousness, and transform our lives, one choice at a time. And let's start with our right now moment on this threshold as we step into this new year. And let's start with love. Love is the basis of every good thing. Think about that. Love is the basis of every good thing. Love is the positive impulse of our deepest self. Love is the thing itself as it expresses as us. God only knows love, only creates love. Therefore, your highest self, your deepest soul, only knows and creates love. Anything unlike love that you are creating is in human ignorance of the thing itself inside of you. So at this threshold moment, let's choose to create love. So what could love look like for you in 2019? And you. What could it look like? How could you responsibly create opportunities for love to enter your circumstances in a bigger way? What new choices could you make? What rituals could you incorporate into your daily life, into your patterns that invite more love in? What would you need to set aside for more love to be your experience in this year? What word could you write on your white stone to remind you to be more love and loving in the year ahead? For it's love that matters. It's love that makes the difference. Maybe your love looks like more compassion. Maybe your love looks like a radical forgiveness. Maybe your love takes on the form of gratitude. Maybe your love looks like laying something down or stopping a behavioral pattern that blocks love. Or maybe your love looks like moving something aside to open your heart in a new way. You know, in AA, there's an understanding that if you really want sobriety, you will do anything to achieve and maintain that. What if we created an understanding for ourselves? If we really want to feel love in 2019, to be loved, to have love in this year, we will do anything to achieve or maintain that. Nothing is more valuable than sobriety to an addict, and nothing is more valuable to love than love to our souls. Nothing is more valuable than love to our souls. It's what our souls crave. Yet to our human selves, there seems to be so many things that are more valuable than love. Things like being right, or having more security, or knowing the answer, or staying safe, or punishing a wrong, or non-forgiveness, or maintaining our identity as something other than a loving being. All of those things are about our ego being in control of our choices. But when our soul steps forward, when the thing itself is in our mindset, as we allow that to happen, our souls choose love. Our souls choose to be in this now moment. And in this now moment, love is the only answer. So living this philosophy fully is to understand our identity as a God being. To understand that we are constantly creating and that we have a responsibility for what we create. Let's create love. Let's let the thing itself work through us and as us to create love. So I'm going to ask Lori, does everybody have a white stone? Raise your hand if you don't have one. Everybody's got one? And I invite you to hold it in your hand. You're going to need a pen too. The pens on the chairs will work. So I invite you to take your white stone in your hand and just feel the coolness and the smoothness of the surface of the stone. That smooth, clean surface symbolizes the new year that's ahead of you. Just caress it and hold it. It's your responsibility to choose what is written on the year ahead and on the stone in your hand. In a little less than 365 days, there will be many, many things written on this year, and you will have written them. What will your stone say at the end of this year? If you summarized each day with one word and etched it onto a stone, what word would you want to show up deeply etched into the stone of your life? So I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, and just begin to court that presence and connect with the thing itself. Just follow your consciousness, your awareness down and in to a place inside where you know that you know that you know that you are a part of something big, something divine. Just feel that sense of life pulsing in your body, breathing you, being you, and wisdom. And I invite you to allow yourself to melt into that oneness. Just allow these words to be heard by and intuited by your highest self, by your soul within. Allow possibilities to call to you and speak to you as you surrender in this moment to the unlimited nature and love of spirit within you. I speak in the first person, but I invite my words to be the words of your own heart. I let go and I let God. I surrender to the knowing that I am free from the past, and I release any fears that may have held me back. I allow only love and grace to guide my path because I am a glorious expression of God. I hold this white stone which reminds me that I am free to create and speak my word over my life experience. I allow in new possibilities and allow my highest self to emerge as I look to the year ahead. What is the purpose of the year ahead for me? If I'm going to live my best and most loving life this year, what is mine to do and who am I to be? As I fully understand my responsibility in co-creating my life, what do I call forth in my experience? What word do I intend to etch onto the stone of my year each day? I claim a new word for the year ahead, a word that inspires me and calls forth my highest and my best. And as I reflect in this moment, I listen, knowing that this word is already written on my heart. I trust and know that this word is for me, and I listen now in this beautiful silence, and I receive my word. Thank you, God. Gratitude flows through this room as we receive our words of inspiration and intent. We just bathe in thankfulness this morning as we birth a new way of thinking, a new way of being, a new way of making a difference in our earthly lives. The love and strength of the thing itself flows through each one present as each one present. Thank you, God. And as the music continues to play, as you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes and write your word upon your stone. Don't worry if you feel like you don't have a word right now, for it will When you've written it, I invite you to hold your stone close to your heart in this silence. This act of intentionally claiming your word is so powerful. Just ask if there's anything you need to know further about manifesting this word into your life. Just listen. And just let it take on greater and greater meaning as you move through the year ahead, one day at a time. This word has come from the wisdom of your own heart, calling you forth into greater love and connection with the One. And together we affirm that it is done, and so it is. So you've set a new intention for yourself, described by this one powerful word. And you may keep this word to yourself in your own counsel, or you can share it with others as you choose. But I invite you to take this white stone and place it somewhere important in your life, put it on your personal altar or in a special place where you'll notice it throughout the year ahead. My white stone from our ceremony last year sits right where I sit and write my talks and everything, and I'll move that one to the dish where I have many, many of these little white squares. And I'll put this one in the same place because I see it every day. I invite you to touch it. Listen to your intuition about what choices could take you closer and closer to the creation of this word, and notice when you have the tendency to resist. Pray for guidance. Ask the thing itself, guide me into this word. Give me confidence. And notice with great gratitude when you have experiences of your word, and you will, but notice it. Because that noticing and that gratitude just anchors it more completely in your consciousness and in your experience. Just daily etch this word into your choices, and it will be a very, very good year. Spirit is guiding you and expressing through you always as the thing itself. It is your very breath you breathe. And I wish you the happiest of New Year's. And so it is. You can clap this.